It's impossible to pick a favorite standalone comic issue of all time, but this one is definitely in my top 5. It's a perfect mix of art and story, and even the Dutch translation is spot on. Dat licht. And when I found this original scan online, I found my new study project, turn it into blue, USB stick, run through the rain to get to, always guaranteed to wait at least 1 hour even if you have 1 copios. Hey, free envelopes. Okay, worth the wait. And we are ready for a deep dive Dan Green practice session. Which tools do we need for the job? These lines here are thin and even, so I assume these are nib lines. Here as well. This must be a brush, though I've seen inkers use markers for this, but they fade in time, so I'll stay away from those. Checking on the real size, the hair could be brush as well. Typical brush strokes here, but they could be done with double nib strokes. This definitely brush. But before that, let's do the borders with felt tip markers. 0.3 seems to be the right size. Wipe the nervous sweat off my hands and go! If it's a page from scratch, I would use my roller ruler, but the blue lines are slightly off parallel, so I'll just trace them one by one. And yeah, I don't have those oval templates, so this'll have to be freehand. Luckily there's black around it. Picking up a curved line with a second pass is really difficult. And thanks to Photoshop I hardly ever do it anymore, so a bit out of practice. Oh, shoot. Watch me make it worse. No. No worries, it looked good in the end. Here, many short lines in the title font, so why not use a point card? Oh, that's why, you idiot. Use the raised ruler. Luckily that smudge is also in a black part. Okay, first level clear. Now the hard part. Let's break in the nib on these lines. Gotta love that sound. Okay, breaking in the brush. Doesn't sound as nice, but super fun. This, I think, was originally a black patch where Dan Green added some texture with whiteout. But if I cover it, I won't know where the white lines were, so I'm just tracing the shape. And at this point, I faced a little dilemma. I could A, try to trace this drawing as close as possible, or B, use it as a guide to learn about inking and try to figure out the thoughts behind Dan Green's decisions. Yup, obviously going with B. And just trying to feel the flow of the drawing here. Not worrying too much about exactly copying him. Okay, another mistake coming up here. Quiz time. If you see these lines in this curve, where would a right-hander place his hand? Well, not on the right and go bottom to top like this. But yeah, put your hand under the curve, so the natural wrist pivot point helps you make that curve. These look nicer and looser. Fun, fun, fun! And I started the page top left to bottom, so which means it's time for Wolverine now. Okay, definitely using the right wrist curve on this. But as I was inking this, I thought it can't be a nib. It doesn't feel right to fill up that much space with those thin lines. Okay, brush time. Check this out. Steady. Steady. Oh boy. Like Bruce Lee said, don't think, feel. Okay, nib for those hairs. This though is not looking right. So let's see how the brush does here. Definitely on those thick feathers. But even on these shark fin ones, it feels better. So let's see how thin I can actually go. Pretty thin. Here I'm thinking Dan Green probably did the whole thing in brush. It's quick and smooth. And even on the face, it feels right. So yeah, just stuck with the brush after this. The only time I switched to the nib was on the water. which obviously need that crisp thin line. And on the claws too. Last part, the fish on the bottom of the page. And we are done. I loved every part of this. Super good practice. And this is going on my wall for sure. If you have any info on Dan Green's techniques, please let me know in the comments. Like that brush versus nib question I had. I still have that backup one I printed, so maybe I should just go all brush on that one. Alrighty, drop a like if you enjoyed this video. I think this is a super useful way to practice inking, especially if you're a big nerd fan of the artist. Gives you that extra motivation to do it justice. So give it a try and enjoy!